morning, Chris. Welcome to the Ironcast podcast.
Good morning, Mitch.
How you been?
Been all right. Been a little stressed, but it's a good kind of stress.
Been busy.
Busy. I'm excited for what we're working on currently.
Good deal. Everybody, welcome to the Ironcast podcast. Today we're interviewing Chris Moore, the CEO of Ironhide. Just a little bit of get to know ourselves, getting to know each other, and letting you guys know who we are. Like I said, this is Chris Moore. He's a master plumber and just a hell of a guy.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is going to be fun. We're going to be doing this one at a time, getting to know our stories a little bit, introducing you guys to us. Feel like it's important for you to know where we're coming from, our backgrounds. We're one of you. We got your back, and everything we do is for guys like us.
Exactly. Let's dive into it a little bit.
Let's do it.
Chris, what was your early life like?
Ooh, early life. Well, I got to practice what I preach. So early life was rough. You know, my mother and father were not together from the time I was in the womb. They had me very young, had me when they were teenagers, and comes with a whole host of problems by itself. And, you know, it's, when you're extremely little, when you're, you don't know any different, just is what it is. But the dynamic quickly became prevalent once I started being more aware, understand what was going on, wondering, seeing friends at school, seeing other kids, wondering why, I didn't have what at the time most of them had. Today it's a little bit, that's kind of commonplace, unfortunately. And just feeling different, feeling out of place, them having me so young lent itself to, they weren't established in any type of career. They didn't have a house. They didn't have anything like that. So we moved around several times. And I probably moved upwards of 20 times in my life. Been with different families, couch surfing, just anywhere my mother could find us to live. And she did an amazing job with the circumstances that she had. And, there was a time we lived in the car, and she made it fun. I have these distinct memories of it and just playing in the car at night. And sure, she was terrified. And
For sure.
Luckily at the time I didn't feel that from her. It was just kind of fun. She made it like camping. And then you start hearing things from other adults when you're around. Kids listen a lot more than you think, right? And there's a lot of whispering, and I realized it wasn't okay at some point. I remember thinking that. Eventually she did find somebody and got married, and that became my stepdad. We had a little bit more of a structure to the life, and he was one of my first examples of a tradesman. He went through an apprenticeship and he became a journeyman lineman.
Mm-hmm.
That lends itself to a lot of traveling through Arizona, down to Texas, New Mexico. And a lot of my childhood memories just revolves around being in the backseat of a truck, laying down on the floorboards. And just that was kind of it. That was kind of the life. And my biological father, we got to see him pretty infrequently, just due to us moving around and then his busy schedule. He was a traveling musician, so he was always on the road, and just never felt that connected with a man.
Yeah.
And really the only stable male figure in my life was my grandfather. And me and him were buddies. It was so great when I got to go over to my grandparents' house and be with him, because that was just safe. And they had a real house, right?
Sure.
They had it was just, you weren't worried about what was going to happen, if things were going to change. And, I didn't have to wonder if he even liked me.
Right.
And the closest closest thing to a father figure I had, then ended up dying. couple years, when I was about 7.
I'm sorry.
And so then from about 7 on, male figures in my life were uh, coaches in football.
Mhm,
Um, I keep trying to dance around it, but the stepdad that my mother ended up marrying my stepdad, who was the father of my brother and sister,
mhm,
who I love dearly and we're super close. Um, but there were a lot of problems. He was a very sick individual. He had a lot of mental health problems himself, and he took it out on his family. And several times witnessed and heard the abuse my mother endured, and I got it as well. Without getting into too many details, when I would come home from school and I saw a beer can out or smelled it, I knew it was going to be a bad day
mhm,
because he really was a great guy until he drank or until he did something else and was kind of a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. And several times being a 7, 8, 9, 10-year old kid where we'd hear some horrible things coming from down the hall from the next room. And I'd go scoop up my brother and sister and be sitting in the closet and holding them. And my brother's about 7 years younger than me. So they were basically babies when this was going on. And I remember being in there and holding and protecting them. And, that I've learned through therapy recently that that's really shaped who I am as a person and the role I feel in my family
oh, yeah.
still to this day, to where I'm big brother, I'm the guy. And it's caused a lot of stress in my life, but it's something that I take on a lot myself,
Mhm,
especially nowadays where we don't have to, deal and worry with that. That stepdad of mine, through his lifestyle and his actions, it ultimately cost him his life a couple years later. And so then my mother was a single mother again for a number of years, and we moved around a lot, and that was all in California. That move or that incident and those things in our life, she had to make a drastic change, so we ended up moving to Utah. And Utah, in my mind, that's kind of where like my slate was kind of clean,
mhm,
and I got to grow up in Utah
right.
from junior high on. That's really where I felt my childhood starts, and led me to incredible friends. In fact, one of my best friends, who I'll always give credit to, got me interested in my career,
Mhm,
which is plumbing. And shout out to Lex. And the career that plumbing has given me has really paired well with who I am as a person and down in my core and being able to work on things and fix things
mhm,
and being able to provide for my family. And that's kind of what, early life, big jump ahead
right,
to where we are now.
right. And I'm just gonna say right now, you've killed it. Like you've taken your challenges and you've pushed through. From my eyes, you're in a great spot.
Thank you.
Some days I know you don't feel it, but you're you're a hell of a dad. You're a killer provider for your family. You're a great friend. I'm proud of where you've ended up.
Well, thank you. It, it's funny when people say things like that, or when people say to any of us, right?
Hmm.
When people say, "Hey, you're so good at this, or you're great at this," I think so many times we take that for granted,
Right.
and we ourselves when we think of that, we're like, it's well that yeah, duh.
It's easy to
That's what
shrug off. I had to,
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
but
And you got to give yourself more credit because it's easy
yeah.
to do that for other people.
Hmm.
See, when I get to know you or Jake or anyone else, and I get to know your story, and gosh, they're such a stud. They're such a good person. You can see how these things in their life has led them to this, but that's something I think we all need to do a better job of, including me.
Well, and
Where
that's
it's like, because some people will say that, but some friends are like, "Man, you got a lot going on. You're taking care of this person, or you're taking on more than you should."
yeah.
Most of my family's doing pretty well now, but I still feel like I need to help. And it's tough when I'm in a vulnerable position because it
Hmm.
hurts my soul to not be the guy that can take care of them, because that's who I was. I've been my mother's emotional support from the time I was little, and then with my brother and sister, I'm still that little kid holding both of them in the closet,
Hmm.
hoping he doesn't find us.
Well, and your family and my family are pretty dang close.
Yeah.
And I've known your family, your mom, your brother and sister for a while now. Like you kind of grew up with my wife,
Yeah.
and your family's awesome. They're really great people. So
Yeah. It was cool. I got to, Mitch's wife is my cousin.
basically,
We
yeah.
basically my cousin. We known each other since we were 2 or 3,
Hmm.
and we had similar issues with father figures,
Hmm.
and so that bonded us even more. But she was just a lifelong friend, just family, and
Oh yeah.
so I'm super grateful that that has led to this relationship.
Oh yeah. Like your story's amazing to me. I grew up in a very loving family, right? With people very close. My mother and father are amazing people. It doesn't click in my mind that people have it rough like that. And so I'm props to you. Way
It's
to go.
well, it's again, and I had to catch myself because in my mind I'm like, well, I just didn't have a choice,
Yeah.
right? And it just is what it is. When there was love there, right? But there have been times like
Yeah.
when, like, my biological dad, and I know he's gonna be listening, and I'm sorry, but him and I have had this conversation before. It's tough when you wonder if he's actually gonna pick you up that day. If you like,
Hmm.
does this guy actually want to be around me? You got to wonder why this guy who's your stepdad, who's super nice and a great guy, and then as soon as he drinks, he's putting his hands on you and calling you every name in the book and hitting you so hard you see stars or you black out or exposing you to pornography. It's something I wish no one has to go through, but that's my job now as a father myself
Hmm.
to it was incredible. My daughter the other day, it came up somehow of a parent just spanking. We were just talking about spanking or
Hmm.
just hitting a kid, which, by the way, I personally, a little swat probably necessary sometimes. My wife and I disagree sometimes about that, but I know the difference between a spanking and a beating.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to me, it's not apples to apples. But that concept got brought up, and my daughter she was almost laughing. She was like, "What? Parents don't hit their kids." She couldn't grasp the concept of that. And when I felt like that was a major win for me
Right.
because it's always a choice. People talk about the generational trauma and these different things. And sometimes I'm not going to, belittle anyone's experience, but those things that we can choose to perpetuate that, we can choose to allow ourselves to get to that spot
Hmm.
and continue or stop these things,
Right.
live your life a certain way where, and this is obviously the ideal. There's different circumstances that are out of our control. I'm not trying to, again, minimize anyone's experience or life circumstances, but we strive for the ideal and we do our best and we make these choices.
Hmm.
So I think it's great. I think it's great that you grew up the way you did. It's awesome. It's something that is, maybe as an angry teenager, I would be jealous and I'd be like, well, yeah, this guy doesn't, he doesn't have it hard. He doesn't have this or this. But now, as a man, when I mature enough now to understand and see and appreciate
Hmm.
what you got to grow up with, that gives it exists.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that makes you feel great knowing is possible and that it exists.
Sure.
And now, again, as a more mature adult, I'm like, that's so happy that you got to have that because I don't wish what happened to me on anybody.
Joining the trades. I know you spoke about how your buddy Lex got you in.
Yeah.
What really made you want to join and become a plumber?
It wasn't gosh, I want to be a plumber. I don't think it was that idea. It was the fact that I was recently married
Hmm.
and I was so aimless. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'll back up a little bit. being in high school and seeing everyone else around you do what everybody does, which is getting ready for college, picking their careers, and I just feel like everyone had it figured out.
Mhm.
Then I look around and so many people had it. I think they had examples of it working. Their parents went to college, someone they knew, their older brothers and sisters. They went to this and they got this result, and I didn't have that. You know, a lot of my family didn't go to college. I'll say most of them, and I didn't get to see that ROI, that return on investment, because I remember I went to the local university and I was in that office and I was looking at everything, and then we ended up talking about student loans, and these were real numbers to me. They
Mhm.
weren't just a means to an end. It was something that, you know, we did not come from money. I mean, at some point in my life, my room was a closet. You know, we very humble upbringing, and those numbers were terrifying. And
Mhm.
so ended up not doing it. Ended up just working, not having any sort of direction, just trying to get a good job. And then I got married, and my wife had everything figured out. The women are way smarter than us, and
Without a doubt.
she had already graduated when we were still dating, and we ended up moving up to Salt Lake to be closer to the job she got into, which was, juvenile probation. She was a tough girl, and I got a job as a delivery coordinator for a big company, and which sounds fancier than it is. And I was just in charge of making sure deliveries got out on time, and just not happy, just not fulfilling, and it was just not a career. I was looking around, and there was some room for advancement, but the and when someone got a promotion, it was a big deal. I remember one of the drivers got promoted to being in the office and start doing these things, and the pay jump was great, but it took him 10 years to get one promotion, and they would stay at one level the whole time. And in my really good friend Lex, he ended up finding plumbing.
Mhm.
He's Lex has always been a really smart guy, really calculated, and at least as an adult, very safe, very stable guy. And at least that's how I see him. And he might say something different, just like we all do, just like we just said. But he got into plumbing. He knew I was looking around trying to find a job, and he goes, "This is a pretty good racket." He got into it not knowing a ton, just knowing the potential, right?
Right.
And let me know that. And he's somebody that I trust more than most people. Him and I are
Mhm.
very similar. Grew up, since junior high, grew up together, played sports together, played music together. So we were extremely close, very coordinated with each other and each other's, we grew up with each other.
Yeah.
And what he was doing just sounded right. Honestly, at the time, it was almost weird. Like, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go give it a try.
Mhm.
And wasn't able to get on to the company he was with, but I got into it, and he got me into school right away. He's like, "Hey, get in. Hey, there's a semester coming up." And normal me would be like, "Well, I'll get into it. I'll try it for a minute, and then I'll do school later." And luckily, he drug me to the school, and I'm so
Right.
glad he did. We got to go through it together.
Instead of diving in head first, he pushed you in.
Exactly.
Perfect. And I
And
know Lex.
yeah,
That's the way. I feel like that's the way Lex is.
yeah, Lex is my brother, and there are a lot of days when he's my big brother,
Mhm.
and he'll push me and he'll force me to do stuff, get out of my comfort zone. And what I found out in the trades immediately was that it's hard. I was immediately put into crawl spaces. I
Oh
was
yeah.
the apprentice. I was doing all the grunt work and thrown it, kind of baptism by fire. The company I worked for at the time put me in my own van and put me out way earlier than they probably should have. But
Oh yeah.
by nature of what we do, there's so few of us that it's necessary, and which I know now. And we were going to school, and you're learning as you go. It's a tough thing.
Hmm.
You're working during the day, you're going to school at night, you're exhausted,
Oh yeah.
and you're perpetually tired and worn out, not just mentally, but your body. And it's everything you can do to wake up. You're waking up earlier than most people. You're working later than
Hmm.
most people, working out in the elements, and it's tough. And I want to make sure we're honest about that and tell people and tell kids that it's a tough job. However, it's so worth it.
Oh yeah.
The things you're able to get, the things that this trade has given me is so much more valuable than I even gave it credit for at the time. It gave me stability. It gave me a sense of purpose.
Sure.
It gave me what I've always wanted, was that level of control in my knowledge of, there's always things that you have to learn about your trade.
Hmm.
You're never going to be perfect at it. You're never going to be the best, and I'm far from it. But once you get a few things down and you can work with your hands, you get a level of confidence, I think. That was big
Hmm.
for me because, you know, I had some basic skills, right? I was fairly handy. I could do, I wasn't a useless guy, but when you get a trade and when you get something you can hang your hat on and say, "Hey, I'm a journeyman in this. I'm an expert in this," or, now I get to have the fancy title of master plumber,
Yeah.
which, in and of itself is, that just means I did a little bit more schooling and did what I needed to do to start my own company. But it's it's great. There is a clear roadmap. You go to school, you go to
Hmm.
you do your apprenticeship. In my case, it was a 4-year apprenticeship, 4 years of school, and you're progressing in your pay
Oh yeah.
every semester as well. That's a huge motivator. That's something that, usually you're entry level, you're gonna stay here for a couple of years, and then you'll get your bump, right? With the apprenticeship, it's like
No, your
this.
bumps multiple times a year,
Yeah, and multiple
pretty often.
dollars. It's not like a 20 cent
No,
raise. It's not.
it's not a 20% raise.
Yeah,
It's several dollars at a time.
it's they have to do it that way, I think, to keep us motivated because it's a tough
Mhm.
job. It really is. But leaving school with 0 debt,
Oh yeah.
because one of two things. Well, it's your company. A lot of companies will pay for your schooling.
Hmm.
They'll reimburse you. Two, the schooling itself is far more affordable than traditional.
$4,000 to $5,000 for a 4-year degree.
Yeah, and
Or
I have,
degree program.
yeah, I just caught myself. I said traditional.
Yeah.
They kind of stole our word. The tradition trades, right?
Right.
I think our training is more traditional than that, and they call it the alternative. And that's at Ironhide and Project Build. We're really trying to change that language, and
Hmm.
it's just another career path.
It's a great
It's
career path.
it's not the alternative. It's not the you were too stupid to go do this, so now you have to go pick up a hammer,
Hmm.
pick up a wrench. It's just it's another great career that, and in our case, there's unlimited potential
Oh yeah.
because you start out as apprentice, journeyman, master, business owner, then the sky's the limit.
Well, and there's so many paths that you can take, right? You can myself being an electrician, I can go specialize in one specific thing, and I can make $400,000 a year just doing one thing.
Mhm.
Or I can become a business owner, and I can specialize even there. Home services, I can specialize commercial work,
Yeah, there's
and
so many things to, and that's what's great about the trades is that you're specialized in something, and so many people don't know that. So many people they think about construction
right.
and they just say construction worker. I think they all think we all go in and everyone can do everything, or everyone does
I think
everything.
most of the time, yeah, definitely. Like as a kid, I thought it was construction, and I just think of a stick frame house.
Yeah,
That's the part of construction that I see. That house being built, and it's taking 9 months before anything ever happens. It's so much more.
so much more involved in that, and the years of experience that goes into knowing what to do, like residential, for example, for the MEP, for plumbing. I'll just say plumbing because that's my
Yeah.
experience. The plans are we want a toilet there. we have to design it. We have to figure out
Hmm.
how to get it there. Commercial plans are really nice because you get a little bit more,
The engineers
a little
try to
bit
get
more
you
puzzle piece,
closer.
right? But there's so much skill involved in it, and there's so much that goes along. And I love how we operate as an industry because everyone has a job, everyone has their trade. You sit around at a table.
Hmm.
Okay, plumbers are doing this,
Yep.
electricians are doing this, tinners are doing this, framers are doing this, and we're supposed to. Then we collaborate and we build it together.
Right.
And that's how these couple businesses and endeavors I've been involved in. That's how I've approached it. Everyone has their skill set, and try not to wear as many hats as possible because that's what your team is for.
Hmm.
And that's what I recommend for anybody starting a business, any startup or any type of group, any type of thing you're trying to do is, be collaborative, have your team and be willing to take your punches, be willing to hear, I don't like that. You're wrong.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's something that's pretty unique to us. I mean, I know that exists in the corporate world, but we don't use corporate language. We
Hmm.
still use "fu."
A
We're
lot
gonna
of
do it
rough,
this
rough
way.
language. Yep.
It's an industry language
Yep.
that we're comfortable with. But yeah, the trades has given me so much. There's so much skill involved in it, and there's so much room for advancement, including one of the clearest paths I can think of to starting your own business.
Yeah. You just started Silver Peak Plumbing.
Yes,
How do you feel now that you're fully self-enveloped and on your own?
it is very stressful, but I'm happy. I'll get into the story a little bit. We started Silver Peak Plumbing about a year ago, a
Hmm.
little over a year ago. My co-owner, his name is Johnny, and fantastic plumber, an
Hmm.
incredible plumber, and he's actually the one that reached out to me. I had been thinking about it for a while, and that's why I became a master plumber. And in Utah and a lot of states, you have to be a master in your trade, at least for plumbing and
Hmm.
electrical. You have to have that master's license to be qualified to start your own company. And that was always my intention. I got the license and then I kind of sat on it for a while because I was comfortable. I was comfortable in my career. Things were going well. I was liking the company and the work I was doing. And Johnny reached out for me and he was in a different situation. We worked for the same company a few years back that we both eventually made it out of. I went out first. He stayed in a few years longer and he was sick of working for somebody else. And him and I met and we had a long conversation about what we wanted out of this and what his concerns were, what my concerns were. He basically gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, right? He says, "Hey, I'm going to come in. I'm going to work my butt off. You provide the way, you have the license, and you have this other skill set that complements mine,
Hmm.
and we'll start this company." And I decided to go for it. And it's been incredible. That is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. And he's done a fantastic job and he's helped make a name for Silver Peak. I mean, he really is Silver Peak Plumbing.
Yeah.
And I was working for my my other employer at the time and I was working on Silver Peak, after hours and doing the business side of things and doing some quotes and you know, I was a superintendent, the on-site superintendent
Hmm.
for these jobs and we weren't just doing remodels and basements and
No.
or even houses. These were big commercial projects.
Hmm.
One of the last ones I was on was
Fairly industrial.
pretty industrial and, having at one point 30 guys under me that I had to, organize and
Hmm.
it was rough. It was so hard trying to do both. The pressure you feel to keep up with both because one, I'm important over here and I help drive the ship and I make sure all the guys have what they need and I try my best to lead the crew and be the best boss I can be. And then over here, I'm one of the owners. This thing doesn't survive unless I am playing an active role, which I really wasn't. I was doing okay here because we weren't quite so busy over here yet. I was able to do my job, but this busier Silver Peak got, which I was happy about. My focus was split and I was struggling. Like I said, I play a big role in my family's life. I insert myself in that position a lot as well. But besides just my wife and my daughter, and now 2 daughters, and having my sister live with me and trying to provide for them, and then trying to take care of all my guys at work, and then trying to make sure my partner has everything he needs, and working on this.
Hmm.
And, this is and Ironhide is really my passion project, and this is something that I want to invest so much time into. Everything was suffering. I
Yeah.
couldn't do I'll say all 5 things, working at my 9 to 5, work trying to build my plumbing business, doing project build in Ironhide, working with my family, and then the very last thing on the list was trying to work on myself, my own
Yeah.
physical health and my mental health. And these things eventually compounded on each other,
Hmm.
and I was about a month away from Silver Peak got super busy. It was going really well. It is going really well. I was about a month away from quitting my other job. The other job, the project I was on was not going well.
Hmm.
And admittedly, some of that was due to my lack of focus because it was so split. I was not doing a good job because I was just trying to survive.
Right.
I was not being the best boss. I was not being the best leader. I can totally admit that. And the company brought me in and we chatted, and they ended up finding out about Silver Peak Plumbing.
Hmm.
Not 100% sure how they found out. It doesn't matter. But they addressed some of their concerns, and once they found out about Silver Peak Plumbing, all the puzzle pieces fit together for them, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, this is you having this other company and profiting from it is a problem, and it's affecting this, and you know, you're something that they said to me was eye opening to me at the time. One of the things I think as all men, we want to feel like we're capable, like we can handle things,
Hmm.
right? A lot of times we can, but we structure our lives in such a way that makes it impossible. What I was doing was just barely surviving, trying to juggle all these things at once. They said to me, Chris, th- we will give you, like, we will concede the fact that this is a really hard project that we have you on,
Hmm.
but we don't think it's something over your head.
Right.
We know this is something you can handle, and you've handled, things like this in the past. And we wouldn't have given you this project if we didn't think you were capable of it, which shows us that you're not in it.
Hmm.
And that was extremely fair. All these things I want to do separately, something I could totally do, something I can handle, something I have the capacity to do. I can build a plumbing company.
Hmm.
I can and willing to be open about my mental health, and I want to help others. And when I'm in that space and I have that capacity, I think we do a decent job of it. And I can run a crew, I can run a big project, but I can't do them all at the same time.
Right.
And that's something I was maybe starting to admit to myself. Others, you and Jake, were telling me to my face, this is too much. Like, can you do this? Are we It's something I don't know if it was a pride thing or what, but I just wanted to feel like I could handle it all, and I
Right.
couldn't. The choice was made for me. Now I don't have this job. Now I can focus fully
Sure.
on these other things. Taking away my 9 to 5, that opened up a lot of time
Yeah.
that I was able to fill very quickly with my own business, but it also us it gives me flexibility
Right.
to then also do these things I'm super passionate about, which is talking about the trades, talking about mental health,
Hmm.
especially for men, because that's what I am and that's what we know. Using my position in Silver Peak as an owner and using my past experiences to be able to push that thing to a position where it can sponsor this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Brought to you by Silver Peak Plumbing. Also give me that confidence in knowing I'm doing these things. This is working out.
Yeah.
We're profitable. Things are going well. I have a fantastic partner. I have a fantastic team. I have great guys that work for Silver Peak Plumbing. I have a great team in you and Jake. I'm stressed out, but I'm not drowning like I
Right.
was. That there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress that comes from not having that stability that we talked that the trades can give you, right? The other job, I was
Hmm.
paid very well. I was compensated very fairly, and it was stable, and I could count on that. And now it's you eat what you kill.
Hmm.
One of my other buddies put it that way. I like it. It's intimidating. It's also, yeah, I could just go hang out all day, sit on the couch. No one's gonna fire me. That also means my business suffers,
Yeah.
and I have no right to take any money from it if I'm not helping.
Right.
Going from that to this is answer your original question again. It's stressful, but I'm happy.
Good.
It's so much more happy, so much healthier. Been able to, and this isn't just the trade. I mean, this is self-inflicted. In the trades, I think we stay up way too late and we get up way too early. I was talking to my wife, and I think consistently for several years, I was only getting 4 hours of sleep a night. Just the fact that I can get a regular sleeping schedule
Hmm.
has done wonders for my mental health and has done wonders for my productivity. The things I was able
Right.
to accomplish very sleep deprived, I'm impressed by now. So now this gives me a lot of confidence in the future going forward in my business and in this business as well, with helping as many people as possible and being more present with my family.
Good. Yeah. You guys are killing it. You've brought up your family a lot. You and we actually both had our first kids right about the same time. How did you feel becoming a dad?
When my wife was pregnant, I was so excited but terrified at the same time,
Right.
because my interaction with the parent child relationship was rough
Hmm.
growing up, and also just wanting to we feel that pressure to provide the best life for them and take them to Disneyland every weekend and make sure they have this fabulous life and make sure that everything's perfect and they never get hurt and they always have enough to eat. And it was terrifying when she was born. I'm not someone that openly cries very often, but it's just it's incredible. It's something that you don't understand until you're experiencing it, and it takes longer for some than others. Sometimes it's an instant. Like for me, when
Hmm.
my daughter was born, there were a lot of complications when she was born, and then had to go into the NICU, and I was there, holding her hand, and I was just sobbing because I was so happy and scared and all these emotions. It has been so healing for me personally. You get a couple chances at this parent kid relationship. I always say one as the child and then one as the parent. One you don't have a lot of say in,
Yeah.
but this other one you make all the choices. It's been incredibly fulfilling. It's been something that tests you a lot. There's several times where you'll do things or you'll say something and immediately you're like, "Oh, whoops. Hopefully I didn't just create a complex or scare you or, something." And but, we just do our best, and with how happy she is and how I talked about earlier where she didn't even understand the concept of a parent hitting their child,
Yeah.
or we've asked her to get rid of toys and say, "Hey, we got to go give these toys to some needy kids and people that don't have very much." She couldn't grasp that concept of as what she thought I was joking. She thought my wife and I were teasing her, like, "Kids have toys. What are you talking about?" And so, on the one hand, I got to make sure I don't raise a spoiled princess.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's like we're crushing it, right? Because my daughter doesn't have any concept that what I went through as a kid is even a thing.
Right.
Not that it could happen, but the things that happened to me and a lot of others that grow up in bad circumstances, that's not even something that crosses her mind.
And
It's
I
a
think that's the key of being a pretty decent parent too, is to not let your kids know that you guys are struggling.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the marriage, but like financially,
Oh yeah.
right? Of like, hey, money's tight this month. They don't need to know.
No, they don't need to know, and that's something my mother did for me a lot growing up too. I didn't know, and again, until a little bit late, a little bit older, I probably knew younger than I should have, but known, but made it fun. We were
Yeah.
living when we lived in the car for for a little bit. She made it fun when we were couch surfing. It was just, oh, I got to hang out with this kid this time, or hang out with
Hmm.
and that's what you have to do. And leaving that job, going to Silver Peak full time. She was very aware of Silver Peak plumbing because she's hearing it constantly,
Right.
but she doesn't realize that I was fired and now I'm only doing Silver Peak. She just thought every plumbing thing was Silver Peak plumbing.
Right.
And so nothing's changed in her mind except, oh, we're not going out to eat as often. We're not doing these things. And
Your truck looks different.
truck looks different. Instead of thriving and having disposable income, what I'm taking from the business is only what we need to
Right.
pay the bills. And that's been extremely different for her.
Mhm.
But besides that, everything else, and luckily that's not something that's highlighted that she really sees or really feels. It's been great. And that's a pressure I feel now is then in a couple of years, turn everything I'm working on into something to where I can give her those things.
Yeah. You just had another daughter. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yep. Just had another little baby. She is so adorable.
She's great.
When you first have your kid, you just wonder, how could I love anything as much as this?
Mm-hmm.
Your love just grows and it's just more. And I think the pressure is more as well.
Right.
Now I have 2 kids along with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also feel this nagging sense of responsibility for my family, even though it doesn't need to be there. It's still there for the rest of my family. I'm extremely grateful for my career that I'm now able to kind of see what I got. It's all on me. I don't have another company that's going out and getting jobs on my behalf. Well, they'll keep me employed. I know they like me. I work hard, and even if they're busy or they're not very busy and they're not going to get work, no, they'll still pay me. They'll do this. That sense of security is gone.
Yeah.
So that's extremely hard. That's something that, and I don't want to work for anybody else. That's not even a pride thing. That's a discipline. Kick myself in the butt. Work on it. Get it done. I have people that work for us. We're responsible for putting food on their table. I have an incredible business partner. I have to be so accountable to because he works super hard for him, his family, and for us. Having another kid just really just exacerbates all of that. The happiness is there as well.
So in my experience, I've found that having one kid is having one kid, and having 2 kids is actually having 3. And then I have 3 kids. It's actually feels
you
like
just had a
it's,
baby too.
and it feels like it's having 6 kids. Have you felt that?
It's been a little bit more chaotic. My 2 daughters are so far apart in age. The one's pretty self-sufficient, self-reliant. She can take care of herself or she can come help. She likes to be another little mama to the baby.
You'll feel it when she starts walking.
Yeah, I think so. Or she's not as contained. So far it's been okay. I think for me, we have a one-on-one, If my wife just needs to focus on the baby, I could take my daughter and we can go run an errand, we can go do something, or vice versa. Yeah, I look at you with 3 kids and it's I don't know how you do it. So I really admire that.
We figure it out day by day. I know you guys struggled having kids a little earlier. Do you want to speak on that?
We can speak on that. We about a year into our marriage, we decided we wanted to start not necessarily trying, but not preventing it. Another year went by, kind of realized, okay, something, After another year, we actually started trying, making an effort. Another year went by, and with a lot of effort, I'll say 4 to 6 months, just really nothing. We were married at the age when a lot of other people around us, that's what they were doing. Seems like everyone else was able just to time it. All right, we want to have a kid. We'll just do it this month. And then they get pregnant. It was getting really frustrating, so we decided to go get ourselves tested, go to a fertility clinic and see what was going on, and found out there was some stuff going on that was making it difficult, and tried a lot of different things. A lot of fertility is a tough road. You're extremely fertile.
Sorry.
So congratulations. Luckily that's something Jake and I share. That's a struggle we both have faced with trying to have kids, and we ultimately, through all these different treatments, ultimately had to do IVF.
Yeah.
Which was rough and it's really expensive. Everything that goes along with that, it's really stressful, and it didn't work the first time. Ended up miscarrying. When you finally have that, when you get pregnant, and all these future not promises, but these future things you tell yourself, I get to be the dad I always wanted. I get to do this. This is going to be so great. And then you miscarry, and that dream just gets shattered. The road to get there, everything that it took and all the money and everything and the support you got from other people, not just emotionally, but our parents were able to help us out with our first round, and devastating
Mhm.
because all of it, you feel like you let everybody down, even though there's nothing you could. It was so out of your control. All the emotions that come along with it. I was heartbroken for my wife, not dealing with the heartbreak for myself,
Right.
and then hearing, oh, just another couple teenagers just got pregnant, or this drug addict just happened to get pregnant.
Well, I know right at that first time that you guys miscarried, we had gotten pregnant. And I know me and my wife were terrified to tell you guys because we heard that you guys were pregnant and we were super excited. We heard that you miscarried and we had just found out that we were pregnant. I think we held off telling you guys for a couple weeks.
Yeah, you didn't.
And
You told us as much.
it was we felt so bad.
I totally understand where you're coming from and
Uh-huh.
why that, but we were so excited for you because we love you guys. It's when you hear about just these people that shouldn't be getting pregnant
Right.
in their lives. They shouldn't be. They don't want to be getting pregnant,
Hmm.
and then they neglect their kids, or they don't have the kid, and they really pisses you off and puts you in a bad way for a long time. Eventually, we were able to do another round, and we had two for a little bit. My daughter was going to be a twin. Then we thought we miscarried again. A couple weeks later. Again, that was a little more numb to it this time. I was a little more cynical about it. My wife was devastated. Went into the doctor just to confirm. Even if that you miscarried, they'll
Right.
still go check you out and everything. And there was still one more heartbeat in there. Our first daughter had made it. It was incredible, and it felt like everything up to that point was just a miracle. And so probably just because it was our first, but every movement, every feeling she gets when she's pregnant, you're just so on edge.
Yeah.
Is everything okay? When the baby is going to be born, it's such a big deal. With my second child, it wasn't like it was a little more. Been here, done this.
Hmm.
We'll be okay. Sometimes I forgot she was pregnant,
Hmm.
but the I mentioned my daughters have a big age gap, and again, we just had fertility issues again. We didn't try to have another kid again until about 2 years after my daughter was born, and same story, just hard, just trying again, and those type of emotions coming back, and now dealing with those emotions and dealing with those issues on top of trying to juggle all these things at once
Yeah.
was extremely hard, and I was not dealing with it.
Right.
And I wasn't being fair to my wife. I wasn't being very present, and we tried a couple years ago, and it just didn't take. We wouldn't this I guess it would still be considered a miscarriage, but it was never confirmed that she was never pronounced pregnant,
Hmm.
even though it was IVF, and they did their thing. But so we had to wait another year so that we could pay for it again, so that we could try to make it happen. Actually, through Silver Peak Plumbing, we were able to pay for the IVF to do that. And so much credit goes to my partner because, especially at the time, he was doing most of it. Now we have our two little girls. One is 6, one is 3 months old. It's fantastic. We were kind of hoping to have a closer age gap so that she had a buddy and everything, but it's my next closest brother and I have about the same age gap. We're so close. I know it's not going to matter. And again, those people that have kids so close in age, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. Mine are about 2 years apart, just about on each of them. But no, you have two beautiful daughters.
Oh, thank you.
They're amazing. You've done a great job. We see how hard you work. You kill yourself to the bone some days. I'm mad you missed my boy's birthday party
I know.
because you had to go do some work. You kill it. Just know that it's seeing how much you work on yourself too. You've said how the last thing of the 5 things that you're focusing on is always yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way it is for so many men. So many men white knuckle it until the last minute.
I would say most men.
And it's sad, but a lot of those men knuckle it for too long. They don't see another option.
You can get into this space where that feels like the only option. It's a mental health issue, right? You're sick.
Yeah.
You can't logically see how you need to be around and how that's better. You think you're a burden on everybody. You think people are going to be better off. You think someone else can raise my kid better. My wife's going to find someone better. That can take care of her better. You're just a drain on your family. You're a drain on society. You don't do that good a job anyway. Why it can compound so much, and suicide rate in our industry alone, just for men, is ridiculous.
Yeah. Unfathomable.
It's
And one of the things I'm grateful for you for is there's been several times you've called me and just said, hey, I just need to talk. Like, I just need to get stuff out. I'm not your brother. I'm not your direct family. Like, right after you got fired, you just called me and we spoke for probably half hour and you just let it all out and just needed to. I don't even feel like I said hardly anything, and you just needed to put it out there. I feel like that's so important for men to have, is someone that just listens, be it therapist, be it a buddy, a group, a community, that you can just put things out and just say, hey, today I'm not doing okay.
it's the truth, and I have a lot of family. I have some really good friends, but I think working on Ironhide with you guys has really, it's made it okay,
Mhm.
right? To talk about these things, and it's a lot easier to talk to you guys about what's going on with me. And I'll talk to you. I'll talk to both of you. I think I called Jake the other day just to talk about something with the podcast,
Mhm.
and ended up just complaining to him about how my day was, right? And
Yeah.
that's just because I know it's okay.
Right.
Because we've had these conversations before. You guys have beaten it out of me before, to the point where now I just feel comfortable talking because I have a brotherhood. I have somebody I know I'm not going to burden by putting these things on, but it's been so helpful to not feel like I have to take it on and put it on just me. Working on not just being comfortable around each other, but working on Ironhide, working with the book on you guys, working with on this podcast and everything else, all these ideas we're trying to get to stick when it comes to my mental health. It's improved dramatically just by working on these things, because
Right.
it's okay. I have to be vulnerable and I have to work on myself. I have to get myself into therapy. You both have been big cheerleaders for that. To me, you and I are working on therapy at the same time.
Mhm.
And I know it's been huge. Even if the therapy itself, like what we get out of the sessions itself, honestly, I think just the fact that you guys have made it okay for me to be in therapy, or I think just that, and the relationships and the talks we are all able to have because of it,
Yeah.
has done more for me than the actual therapy.
Right.
And I'm not saying you need the therapy. It helps if you're really to a point that you need a professional,
Mhm.
but having a brotherhood where where we specifically, this is one of our focuses, has been huge. And I think a lot of the things that we're working on is going to change a lot of things for a lot of guys. We're putting these things into real, easily understood principles and language.
Right.
Yeah, just so thank you. Just thank you for helping me being able to work on this stuff with you. And that's been huge. It's been huge for my mental health, especially with all these things I'm trying to juggle.
Yeah.
Would not be possible without, because so many men, so many men in our industry, other industries as well, are killing themselves
Yeah.
because they don't have this. They don't have the outlet. They don't have a light at the end of the tunnel. They don't have a group of guys where they feel like they can go talk. And that's what we're desperately trying to do.
Right.
And Ironhide can be that.
A lot of times when I don't want to talk, it's because I feel like I'm just whining. I'm just whining about life, and life is what it is. Just needs to be put out there, right?
It does.
If you build up enough steam, it's going to blow. You've got to have a little bit of let off.
Yeah, the city really needs to come put a PSI gauge on us, because sometimes it gets way too much.
Yep.
And you need to talk with your spouse or your girlfriend. You need to be able to have that communication
Right.
with them, because that should be your best friend. That's, my wife is my best friend. I have
Mhm.
to be able to talk to her about things, but she lives a different experience than I do.
Mhm.
So being able to talk to another guy who has a family, who has to provide for that family,
Right.
has kids, that's who knows
Similar experiences.
what's going on. And it's I would definitely encourage everyone to try that. You're not burdening your friends.
No.
If you have really good friends, you're not burdening them. If anything, it's good to hear that other people are going through it as well.
Right.
Then it doesn't feel like it's just happening to me
Hmm.
and there's something wrong with me. It turns into, okay, this is a shared human experience. He's going through something similar. He's going about it in a way that I haven't thought of. I'm going about it in a way he hasn't thought of.
Hmm.
Let's collaborate. Let's figure this out, because when you're just going at it alone, it's not going to work out.
Right.
There's a lot of things we want to handle on our own, and we can handle on our own after we have learned how to do a lot of these things, but you have to start.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere. You have to start with, I think, doing, learning a lot of these principles that Ironhide, that we've all come up with, that we're going to continue to come up with, and starting with these basics and learning these principles, and then talking about them with
Hmm.
each other, with your brotherhood, is going to do a lot of guys so much good, because we've just grown up feeling like we're not allowed to feel. We all know that's BS. People say, well,
Or at least we're not allowed to let it out.
yeah, guys don't have feelings. Guys don't have this. We do.
Yeah.
It'll come out in anger
Hmm.
or frustration, or we'll be short with our families
Yep.
because we're not letting it out in a healthy way. And
Or we deal about it in inappropriate ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of guys think they can do that. A lot of guys, no, I can just bottle it up. I don't show any emotion. And you do.
Then they bottle it up and then they lean in on the bottle.
Exactly. Substance abuse,
Yeah.
Other abuse of other things, being abusive to yourself, hurting yourself, having thoughts of hurting yourself.
Right.
These are all things that don't have to be. And too many guys are stuck feeling that no one knows what they're going through. No one understands it. No one gets it. I just have to put my head down and go to work because no one else is going to do it. And I
Yeah.
have to, me. And it's almost a selfish, not to be blunt and a jerk about it, but it's a selfish not letting anyone help you.
Yeah.
And feeling like you have to do it all
Hmm.
by yourself. It's almost like you're at work and someone's working on something and you come and box them out of the way so you can wire that up. You can do this.
Hmm.
Like, you wouldn't do that. Unless someone's really screwing up, you don't get in there and help or push them out of the way. If someone's actually trying to help you with work and someone's trying to help you navigate, if someone's moving something out of your way, if someone's trying to help take something off your plate at work, you should let them.
Hmm.
And same thing with your mental health.
Well, on that subject, just a few weeks ago, me and you sat down at a party and I was going through it. Just that simple conversation that we had, that we just kind of broke off. Just talking pushed me into figuring out, like I had been off for a while and it figured out why I was off. And I hate bringing stuff up like I do. I don't always practice what I preach. Me and my wife have a great relationship, but I don't always like bringing my problems to her. We sat down, I think that same night, and I just let it all out. And it was uncomfortable. Just that, talking to a friend and saying, hey, what's up? Something's wrong. I'm going through the same thing. And it triggered like a 2-hour conversation with my wife of, this is what I'm dealing with. And a lot of times I deal with what her problems are and not dealing with my own. And so thank you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
that was at my niece's
Yeah.
birthday, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's really it. I think we all, once you're close with somebody, you can feel when they're off.
Yeah.
And I think as guys, we too often think we need to, just give him space, right?
Right.
He's going through something, I'll let him go through it. But yeah, sometimes it just takes someone acknowledging it
Hmm.
to push us to talk to them, to talk to our spouse. And I'm sure a lot of stuff came up in that conversation where you both had some revelations that, gosh, I wish we would have just talked before
Right.
or sooner, right?
Right.
I know that happens a lot, and I do that as well. I think we all do as men. We don't want to burden our wives because we're supposed to be the rocks,
Hmm.
right? And that's how I feel. I feel like I need to be the stone cold guy that can handle it, can handle everyone else's stuff.
Right. You've got a pretty big set of shoulders on you. You can handle it, right?
Yeah, I put shoulder pads in. And it's tough sometimes when we do talk to our spouses because women generally they're a little bit more emotional than we are.
Hmm.
And I know when I talk about my problems, sometimes my wife will end up getting emotional,
Hmm.
but she's emotional for me because she hates that I'm going through something.
Right.
but that triggers something in my brain to where if she gets emotional, I gotta
You got to
stop.
take care of her.
I gotta take care of her, and I gotta stop, and then I don't open up again for a long time.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we talk to other people, they'll get defensive, or they'll make it about themselves, or they'll do this, and then, or a lot of times we interpret it that way, but really it's they just are more willing to show their emotions, and they're crying because they're upset that you're upset.
Right. That's
And
one of the things my wife brought up is I'm sorry that I put you in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry that I've done that without realizing it,
Mhm. Yeah, it's
which
not.
makes me feel bad.
It's just a cycle.
Yeah.
It's I feel bad because you feel bad, and I feel bad because this. It's
Yeah.
That's why you have to talk, and that's why you have to get on the
Mhm.
same page. And when we communicate with each other, when we communicate with our spouses, it has to be constructive.
Right.
It can't be because we want to fight.
No.
Yeah, it can't be. Well, he's saying
If you have to
this.
put it off another day
That's fine.
to get to the right spot, yeah, it can't be going to bed angry.
Yeah, we have to talk. It has to be productive,
And that's my least
or
favorite
we're just
is,
gonna
hey,
fight.
we need to have a talk, and then letting me have 4 hours.
Yeah, I can't do that either.
I go nuts.
Yep. Sometimes we have to have those talks like right now, because I'm the same way. If someone
Yes.
says that, I think we've all. I mean, there's times, us three have done that to each other,
Oh yeah.
and usually I think we're close enough now. It usually results in a phone call being like, "No, we need to talk now," because
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to go through the rest of my day like
Right.
that. Women are the same way too. So it's when you have a talk, make sure there's the space to talk. Don't try to have a talk why the baby's crying.
Right.
Don't try to have a talk when you're pissed off driving, and this just, be smart about it. Sometimes those talks have to happen spontaneously.
Right.
The goal is to be constructive, not to pick a fight. I think as guys, it's easier to do that because we can be a little more blunt with each other,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we're used to doing at work, growing up, in sports.
Well, and what's the worst thing that you're going to do? Punch me in the face?
Yeah.
We'll be best friends after that.
Right? We just get it out of our system.
Yeah.
But it's easy to start picking fights, I think, with your spouse, because it's easy to bring other stuff in it because you guys are so wrapped up in each other's world.
It's easy to let the little things get big.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things we talk about at Ironhide is, kind of the one of the principles is knock or walk. That's something came up with a little bit ago. And if there's something really eating at you, like if there's something going on behind this door
Mm-hmm.
and it's something you just can't ignore, you have to address it.
Right.
You have to go up and knock on the door and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? If it's something you can let go,
Right.
then just walk by.
Walk it off.
Walk by the door. I wanted to end with, and there's several things other things I wanted to talk about, stories to share, but we'll have plenty of time to do that.
Lots of podcasts.
And something I wanted to end with all these things going on with my story and my current situation with transitioning from my 9 to 5 job and now going to eating what I kill.
Yeah.
It's so easy to, and it has been for me, to get right back into the I'm not doing enough, not good enough, not just something I challenge you guys and everybody listening to do is ask your loved ones what you are doing that makes them feel provided for, that makes them feel, and if they can't think of anything, that's a wake up call. You might be doing things that you're not aware of that will give you some relief, that will take a little, not take the pressure off, but like, okay, my daughter does feel like I'm playing with her during the day. My wife does feel like this. There's things you can improve on.
Right.
And there are times for those conversations. And I think more often than not, we are aware of what it is that we're not doing. But that's something I'm going to challenge you and Jake, and everyone else listening. Ask your wife, your partner, whatever, what you are currently doing that
Mhm.
makes them feel provided for. And I can promise you that it's going to either be eye opening, and which is still good. That's going to
Yeah.
help you figure out what you need to do from there. It can be so healing too, to know that even if you're really struggling, you're still doing some good. And I think a lot of guys aren't aware of that, and that's
Right.
why we're having so many issues that we're having as men. You're doing good for somebody. I think we'll end there.
Well, yeah, you kind of took my last thing that I was going to bring up, and I was going to ask for a
Whoops.
piece of man advice.
That's the man advice for the day.
A lot of people do dad advice, but we're going to do man advice.
Yeah, that's one of the most.
You nailed it.
That's one of the most manly things you can do is being willing to ask a tough question, either to get a validating answer or to get some constructive criticism.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I
Thank
love
you,
hearing your
Mitch.
story. I love you. You're
I
great,
love you too,
man.
buddy.
Thanks for joining, everybody. This is Ironcast.
This is the
And-
Ironcast podcast.
Like and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think.
A lot more to come. We're going to be hearing all of our stories.
Yeah.
And we're going to be having some awesome guests coming up. Some really cool topics. One of the next ones is going to be AI in construction and how that's going to is going to change the game. We're really excited about that, to talk about that and hear some insights from people far smarter than we.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
And they blow, no designer, all I'm free, yeah.